Well, good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. This is Scott Manning coming to you live from Scott Manning YouTube Sports Talk. I want to thank all of my loyal viewers for taking some time with me here this evening. And I just want to thank all of you guys for taking a few minutes. I just want to chime in real quick. I've got two coaches that their jobs are on the line this season. If you want to look at something for 2018 in college football, we have two coaches that will be coaching for their jobs this season. And the reason why I'm saying this is very simple. One is a Michigan guy who can't beat Michigan State and Ohio State. His name is Jim Harbaugh. I'll get to that in a minute. The other one is Brian Kelly at the University of Notre Dame. Notre Dame last year, they did win their bowl game, I grant you. But against teams like Georgia, Stanford, USC, they had some struggles. But I'm telling you, this year's going to be different. Because I'm telling you, as far as Michigan coach Jim Harbaugh, his job, now let me back up. Notre Dame coach Brian Kelly, his job might be on the line this time around because of this schedule that Notre Dame has. Jim Harbaugh, on the other hand, is really on the hot seat. And I'll get to Harbaugh here in a second. But first, I want to focus on Notre Dame for a minute. Now, if you look at Notre Dame's schedule this season, and you can see why Brian Kelly could be coaching for his job. Now, Notre Dame starts it off at home against Michigan in South Bend on the 1st of September. Then on the 8th and 15th of September, he's got two really could be fairly easy games with Ball State and Vanderbilt. And then he's on the road at Wake Forest on the 22nd. Then on the 29th of September, I've got this down. Stanford. That's a big one, and that game is at home. And you know Stanford has Bryce Love. And then they're on the road at Virginia Tech. Then they have Pitt and Navy. Those two could jump out at you. Because Pitt almost jumped out of them a few years ago, if you remember right, in South Bend. Then they're on the road at Northwestern. Then in the final three games, they have two really tough battles. One against Florida State, the other one against USC. I've been thinking about this all week, and I've looked at the schedule. Brian Kelly's got at least 5 games that could really make or break his season. Michigan in the home opener. Then they got Stanford on the 29th of September. And you know Bryce Love's going to be very hard to beat. And you know Harbaugh's going to be coaching for his job as well. And I mean Pitt. Don't count the Pitt Panthers short, because they can jump out at you. Navy, the same thing. Navy can knock off Notre Dame and ruin their season. However, here's the deal. Florida State, you know they're going to try to return back to national championship glory. And then in the final game against USC in the Coliseum on the road. So those 5 games right there, for Notre Dame, those are going to make or break Brian Kelly's season. Now, he won't have problems with Ball State, Vanderbilt, Wake Forest, and some of these other teams. Virginia Tech may give him a little bit of a headache. But Northwestern, Syracuse, those are probably going to be gimme games right there. But I'm telling you, Michigan, Stanford, Pitt, Navy possibly. Florida State, that could be a headache for Brian Kelly. And USC, and the final game of the season in the Coliseum. Those games right there for Brian Kelly will make or break his season, or make or break his time at Notre Dame. And you guys can say what you want. You're thinking, oh, Scott, you're going off in La La Land. Brian Kelly he always has up or down seasons at Notre Dame. I remember a couple years ago, they lost to Duke, and they were a 28-point favorite, and they lost by 3. How embarrassing! You remember 2 years ago, I blamed Brian Kelly for that loss. I really did. And here's why. It was because his defensive coordinator didn't know what he was doing. Brian Kelly couldn't do anything. And think about last year. Last year in the home opener against Georgia. Georgia's first trip to South Bend resulted in that's what's going to happen this season. And everybody says, don't take Notre Dame lightly. I'm going to be honest with you. Is there cause for concern? Yes, there is. But let me tell you something. Brian Kelly's job is on the line. And I'm telling you, if he loses to Michigan, if he loses to Stanford, or if he loses to Florida State and USC, and possibly Pitt or Navy, he's gone. And I'm telling you, Brian Kelly is going to have a long road to hoe this season. He'll beat Ball State, Vanderbilt, Wake Forest, teams like that. But what about the big time schools like Michigan, Stanford? That's something to think about if you're up in South Bend, Indiana. And is there cause for concern? Yes, there is. And that's all there is to it. Now let's turn over to Michigan coach Jim Harbaugh for a second. his job's his job is really on the line. He's on the really hot seat. And his seat is so hot, he can't even sit down. Here's the Michigan schedule. They started out on the road against Notre Dame in South Bend on the 1st of September. And then after that, for Michigan, they have Western Michigan on the 8th of September, then SMU on the 15th. Then the Big Ten opener for them in Ann Arbor will be on the 22nd of September against Nebraska. Then the following week, they're on the road at Northwestern. Then they have 2 home games between Maryland on the 6th of October and then Wisconsin on the 13th. Then, October 20th, they're on the road against Michigan State in East Lansing. Then it's Penn State at home. Then they have Rutgers on the road. Then they have Indiana at home. Then they got to go on the road to face Ohio State. If you listen to some of these teams that I've mentioned, I got some teams on the watch list. I got some games on the watch list for Michigan this season. Notre Dame is one. Wisconsin is another. Michigan State, Penn State, and Ohio State. I'm telling you, if Jim Harbaugh loses 3 of those 5 games this season to either Notre Dame, Wisconsin, Michigan State, Penn State, or Ohio State, he's out. And if you stop and think about it too, Jim Harbaugh is 1-6 against Michigan State and Ohio State. And folks up in Ann Arbor do not take kindly to that. That's all there is to it. Harbaugh hasn't beaten Ohio State yet. He's only beaten Michigan State once. And there's a cause for concern. And I'm telling you, Jim Harbaugh is really coaching for his job. You can say what you want. And my thing is, he's got to be able to show up. And I'm telling you, with Jim Harbaugh's job on the line, is there cause for concern? Absolutely. Because if I'm telling you, those 5 games that I mentioned, Notre Dame, Wisconsin, Penn State, Michigan State, Ohio State, he loses 3 of those 5, he's gone. Because and if he loses to Michigan State and Ohio State, he's really going to he's gone. Because Michigan does not take it kindly when you lose to your rival teams. I mean, Harbaugh hasn't beaten Ohio State. The last time he beat Ohio State is when he was a player. Remember back in 1986, Jim Harbaugh was literally the referee in that game. And I'm telling you, this season, Jim Harbaugh's job is really on the line. You can say what you want. My thing is, he's got to show up ready to play. And I'm telling you now, Jim Harbaugh, if he loses to Penn State or Ohio State this season, if he loses to those 3 and 5 games I mentioned, Notre Dame, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Penn State, and Ohio State, he's gone. He will be fired at the end of the season. And as far as Brian Kelly goes, if he loses to Michigan, Stanford, Pitt, Florida State, or USC, he's gone. He will not be back at Notre Dame. And that's all there is to it. So there you have it. The 2 coaches that will be coaching for their jobs this upcoming season. And the bottom line is, Brian Kelly and Jim Harbaugh are really going to have a hard season this year. And that's all there is to it. All right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. I want to thank you guys for taking the time with me here this evening. I know some baseball's gotten underway. I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here, and you guys have a great night. Please tune in tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock a.m. for my Saturday morning Facebook breakfast show. We will have tons of fun. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. My name is Scott Manning. Just type my name, look for this pretty face. So please subscribe to my channel. You'll see all the sports videos that I've done so far. You guys have a great night. I'll see you later. I'll see you guys later. You guys have a great night. Good night, everybody.